I just can't believe that Bart Scott, somebody who famously said can't wait because it was one game headed up, can think that this has anything to do with Aaron Rodgers' legacy this week. If I'm not mistaken, a couple of years back, Aaron Rodgers opened the season in week 1 with 5 interceptions. Aaron Rodgers ended up being the MVP. And it may not have been 5. It was a ton, right, against the New Orleans Saints. He ended up being the league MVP, and he won MVP 2 years in a row. Now, are we going to sit here and overanalyze game 1? And we're going to talk about whether or not Aaron Rodgers was protected, how Aaron Rodgers was able to connect, or what sort of chemistry he had with Garrett Wilson. And are we going to break it down and make it a bigger deal than it actually is? Because in the end, one of 3 things can happen to the New York Jets this week. They could be 1-0, they could be 0-1, they could be 0-0-1. But that's it. That's all that can happen. And that doesn't mean that this remains the same team for the next 17 weeks. That doesn't mean they don't get better. That doesn't mean they don't lose players. That doesn't mean they don't add somebody at the trade deadline. This is about one game. This is about finding a way to go up 1-0 in the AFC East, which is going to be incredibly tough. This is about understanding that next week I got to go to Detroit. I got to go to Dallas. So if I got to go to Dallas, it would be nice to go into Dallas 1-0. It would be nice to have found some protection for Aaron Rodgers so I know somebody's going to be able to block number 11 next week in Dallas. That's what this means. This means we have to find a way to build to be something else. We have to remember how Tom Brady started the season in Tampa. They weren't great. They got stumped out by the Saints 2 times that year. This team is going to have to grow into what they are. And so anybody who says Aaron Rodgers, the 4-time MVP, the only person that would say this game has anything to do with Aaron Rodgers' legacy is Jihad Ward from the New York Giants, who apparently doesn't know who Aaron Rodgers is, and Aaron Rodgers has to tell him who he really is. That's the only person that think his legacy might be at stake this week.
Okay. Let me help you out, RC, because clearly you need help this morning.
I don't need help.
Get him some milk. He need to wake up a little bit.
He's up. We got him up. You got him up now.
Put some Folgers
We got him
in his
up now, all right? You need some help. First of all, understand, son, RC, from a literal perspective, you're absolutely right about it being week 1 of the NFL season. But you know good and damn well that's not what we're talking about here. Right. You know that. You know we're not talking about just one game. I understand the question from a literal perspective is about the one game. Put RC, because I don't want him hot. I want RC on national television right now.
I want to see the Nauru.
I want to see the man. His eyes are not red anymore. He's awake, y'all. Here's the deal, RC. You know, every single game at this stage and point in Aaron Rodgers' career, to me, is a legacy game from the standpoint of how he'll be talked about week to week. For example, he doesn't get to look to New Yorkers and tell folks to relax. Nah, there's no Super Bowl since 1969. There's 68. There's no Super Bowl appearance since that time. He doesn't get to do that now. You wanted the franchise. You wanted respect. You wanted to be elevated to a stature and having a level of cachet when you go into a front office and they don't look you in the face like they did in Green Bay and say, shut up and play. You play, we run the organization. They don't disrespect and dismiss you like that. You have been given everything that you have been asked. I am not speaking literally from the standpoint that week 1 is going to determine it. I'm talking about how people are going to talk about him because of the level of greatness that he's exhibited, because he's a 4-time league MVP, because he's a Super Bowl champion from 2010, and with his greatness years before Patrick Mahomes ever came along, still can't find his damn self back making a Super Bowl appearance. There are 13 quarterbacks in the history of the National Football League who have won multiple Super Bowl champions. Do you know that not a single one of them is considered as a talent better than Aaron Rodgers? Outside of Patrick Mahomes. Outside of Patrick Mahomes, there is not a single quarterback in the history of the National Football League. I'm talking Marino. I'm talking Montana. I'm talking Young. I'm talking Staubach. I'm talking Bradshaw. I'm talking Aikman. I'm talking everybody. None of them outside of Patrick Mahomes is considered a better talent from the quarterback position than Aaron Rodgers. And we were led to believe that part of the reason that he has not enjoyed the success his talents says he deserves is because the Green Bay Packers didn't revere him to the degree that he deserved to give him the things that he needed in order to win. They didn't even give him a first-round pick at the wide receiver spot. They gave him none of that. This is the first year he's going to be throwing to a first-round pick at the wide receiver spot in all of his years in the National Football League. So I close by reminding you, RC, whereas you are right from a literal perspective, theoretically, as we talk about Aaron Rodgers, what we're saying is you got everything you wanted, bro.
Yes.
And this AFC conference is loaded. What you gonna do? How you think we gonna look at you if you don't get it done? That's all they saying here. That's it.
Stephen A., which quarterback would you rather have, Dak Prescott or Daniel Jones?
I'd rather have Dak Prescott Sunday night. Daniel Jones is an upside. Brian Dable, obviously, I'd prefer over Mike McCarthy. I think over the course of the season and over the next couple of years, we can make an argument about Daniel Jones compared to a guy like Dak Prescott. But I don't think we need to be sitting around acting like he's better than Dak Prescott at this particular juncture, at this particular point. Not to mention the fact I'd rather be Dak Prescott than Daniel Jones because I got additional weapons. I understand Waller's there now, and I expect that to be something significant to help Daniel Jones. Saquon Barkley, because you know how I feel about the Giants. They had him in a bag of chips on their offensive side of the ball last year. So obviously,
Sterling
you look at that.
Shepard's
That's right. Sterling Shepard is back. He's not hurt anymore, but here's the deal. And we know he can ball, but here's the deal. He ain't supposed to be CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and Brandon Cooks with Tony Pollard coming out of the backfield. That is not supposed to be the case. And so for me, I'm of the mindset, whoa, wait a minute. I mean, based on the Dallas Cowboys and what they're supposed to be, Bart, and based on the defense that they're supposed to have, and based on Dak Prescott looking for his money and all of this other stuff, one would imagine if we on the outside looking in, he's more incentivized than ever before because Daniel Jones got his bag. Dak Prescott's looking for a new bag. Not that he didn't get his bag earlier, but he's looking for a new bag. So I think all of those things considered, it has me leaning towards saying Dak Prescott strictly for Sunday night. I'd rather have him than Daniel Jones.
Last time I remember the Dallas Cowboys being on Monday Night Football on 9/11, yeah, they took the L. That would be to the New York Jets. And I think the same, you don't understand the environment when you think about the gravity of that moment at that time. And listen, finally, all things are equal for Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones had Pat Shurmur. He had Pat Shurmur as a coach. Who's the other coach that he had? Ben McAdoo.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Now you look at
I forgot.
all things are equal now. Like, this guy's been doing more with less. He was at a point in Giants history. I think Giant fans would like to erase that. The Gettleman era was not a success. Now he has adults in the building when you think about Joe Shane. Now he has the reigning coach of the year. And Daniel Jones just scratched the surface just a little bit last year, and he didn't have the weapons. They go out and they identify, what he needs and what Brian Daboll needs to try and have the same philosophy that he had. Daniel Jones is a big-time player. He goes on the road and he beats Minnesota, a team that they were, should have lost to, a team that had a better record than them. I think we have been sleeping on Daniel Jones, and now that all things are equal, I think he will show that he is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. And I'm not just making this up. I've been saying this, and I've been bold on Daniel Jones since he's been in the league, and I've been ridiculed and made fun of on this show. But I think finally, he who laughs the loudest, and I think I'm going to be laughing pretty loud on Tuesday because I think Daniel Jones and the weapons and Brian Daboll is going to put a great game plan together. I think they're going to come out victorious.
What do you see from Jones that other people don't?
I mean, he's a great athlete. I think it's understated he's a great athlete. He's tough. He's smart. And I think he has a tremendous deep ball. He's a great decision maker. He's a guy that you can count on. He's a guy that's tough in the pocket. I think, you think about what he can do at extending plays and what he did last year, being able to lead this team when all he had was Saquon Barkley. He made up the difference. So I think he's big, strong, fast, intelligent. And I think he reminds me a lot of Eli Manning with a different element that Eli never had, and that's the athleticism to be able to extend plays when plays break down.
Well, hey, listen, I know he could play, and I know Daniel Jones has an upside. Please don't get me wrong. But let's also understand that Brian Dable, one of the reasons he's the reigning coach of the year is because he was able to control and rein in Daniel Jones because Daniel Jones just didn't have it. So a lot of what we're seeing from Daniel Jones is a byproduct of the coaching of Brian Dable and the accountability. Remember, game 1 last year, he throws an interception, and you saw the whole team just galvanize because Brian Dable went in and got in his you-know-what. Yeah. Right on the sideline and stuff like that. And that level of accountability, and everybody saw that. You even spoke about it at that time as a Giants fan, Molly, where you just said something's different here. You could sense it. You could feel it because Dable had infused a different culture. So we understand there's an upside with Daniel Jones, but Dak Prescott's got a lot more to lose right now at this immediate moment than he does, and that's why I say let's see what he got.
I think Dak Prescott is having an identity crisis, right? Because we're saying, hey, he doesn't want to have the turnover, so Mike McCarthy doesn't want him to be aggressive. And being able, Mike McCarthy's calling plays for the first time in a long time, and it's going to be a fill-out process there to see what version of this team is going to be. In the first game, it's a tough game to be figuring it out. Defense is usually ahead of offenses in the first game. Wink Martindale just got Isaiah Simmons. But Isaiah Simmons and Wink Martindale, they've upgraded, and if Thibodeau can take the next step, they can make it difficult for Dak Prescott as he tries to figure out, what we're doing and what our philosophy and what our,
listen. That's a great scientific and just a meticulous breakdown by the brilliant football mind that is Bart Scott. But damn it, what the hell is Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence and Stephon Gilmore and Trayvon Diggs?
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.